Welcome back to the Wayward Gourmands. This is Keith, and this is my assistant.
Keith.
Today we're coming at you with another soup. While the cold weather is sticking around, we're going to do another soup for you. Tonight we're going to do matzo ball soup. We're going to take this matzo meal that comes from ground up matzos, just like this. You may have seen them. And we're going to turn them into almost like a dumpling that's going to be sitting in a chicken broth that's absolutely delicious. We're going to get cracking on the eggs. While you're waiting for them to come back from that, we're going to show you how we made the broth and how we got this liquid gold, which is Schmaltz. This is the rendered chicken fat. This is an ingredient going in the matzo balls that just makes them absolutely delicious. We'll be back in a minute. I'm going to let him get cracking.
This is like the world's biggest cracker.
This is my pot. There are many like it, but this one is mine. So what I need you to do is I need you to get your own pot and make sure that it is big enough to hold the chicken, the vegetables, and enough water to cover the chicken by at least an inch. If you don't have a pot that size, you may have to break your chicken down to try and get it down low enough where you will be able to get it under that 1 inch of water. That said, let's start it off. We're going to start with some chicken and the giblets, boop, and then the carrots, celery, and onions, boop. And then we're going to move on to the dried herbs. First, some dill, boop, and some parsley, boop, and thyme, boop, and some ground coriander, boop, and the last seasoning, salt and pepper. And don't forget the water and the lid. You're going to bring your pot up to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer. At that time, I want you to set your timer for an hour. So at that point, you can pull the breast meat out and leave the rest in the pot because you don't want to overcook the breast meat. Then let it simmer for another 2 to 3 hours. And you have your gold. Strain everything out at this point, reserving the meat, and you can discard it because they've given up all their goodness as far as the bones and the veg and everything like that. Then you want to store it in a cool spot until it cools enough that you can put it in the refrigerator overnight. And what's going to happen at that point is the fat is going to float to the top and it's going to become solid. This way it'll be easier to remove it from the container, leaving the broth. Now, if you had boiled it for long enough at the simmer, everything that's in the bones of the chicken comes out, including the collagen. That's the most important thing. If you look and it looks like a jello mold, don't panic. That's perfect. That's what you want. All that collagen just gives like an extra unctuous flavor to the broth. So if it looks like a jello mold, then you're fine. You did a great job. This is what it's going to look like if you get all the collagen out. As soon as it warms up a little bit, it becomes a beautiful liquid again. So that's it. Let's make some balls.
Okay, welcome back. You saw how we made the broth. I have the 8 eggs lightly beaten in this bowl. And to that, I'm going to have my assistant add 2 cups of the matzo meal.
Let's put in the... That's a wood. It looks like a winter bread land.
It sure does. Now in here I have, for a little extra kick of flavor, I have some onion powder, some white pepper, and some dill.
Wow, 3 things in one.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest. So that means I can add little people now. So there's 1 million people there, 1,000 people there. It looks like there's one guy.
Okay, watch your hand.
Really is a
Now I'm going to add in the Schmaltz.
bad guy because he wants to
And then the hot water.
get those groups. And then here comes the big yellow guy who takes them down, but watery just makes a
Okay.
blue.
Now take that and start mixing it really good.
And then one day something bad happened. A tornado.
Once we get everything mixed together, we're going to cover it. We're going to put it in the refrigerator for an hour. No less than an hour because it has to absorb all the moisture and become something that you can form into the balls. So we'll be back in a bit once these are all set, and we'll form them into the balls to get them in the hot water. Back. Our matzo meal is nice and rested. It absorbed all the liquid. It became more firm while it was in the refrigerator for an hour. I have some salted water boiling not a rapid boil, but a simmer on the stove, along with our broth that I added some carrots and celery and chicken to. You don't have to do that. A lot of people just like the broth and the matzo balls. I added a little bit extra in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my scoop, and I'm going to take a nice level scoop, and what this is going to do is this is going to make about a plum size matzo ball. Some people like a more walnut size, but we're going to make a decent size ball. So now I'm going to have my assistant do one.
This is hard.
Just roll it between your hands and make it, see how it's round like that one? Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Good job.
Doing my first. Oh.
There you go.
Can't tell.
It's okay if they're touching.
Ah,
Nice catch.
that almost fell when lots of.
Yeah, it sure did.
What's that one in there? It's done. Remember.
We're going to finish rolling these up, and then I'm going to get them in the water. We're going to put them in there for 20 minutes with the lid on. As soon as you put that lid on, don't peek. And then at 20 minutes, we're going to pull them out, and we'll be ready to put them into the soup and present it, and we can give it a try. So we'll be back in a minute, and we'll show you the finished product.
Turn the heat up to recover the boil and fire in the hole. Lid on, 20 minutes, no peeking.
Hey, welcome back. Everything is all put together. I have the soup in the bowl. I have the matzo balls after they poached for 20 minutes in the covered pot. Again, you want to keep that lid on there nice and tight because they're going to bob up above the surface, and you want that steam in there to keep cooking it even if it comes above the water surface. They'll spin and they'll rotate on their own, but you just want to keep that lid on there. So you can see a nice big shot of it right here. And then okay, hold on, now it's gratuitous, slow-mo. Okay, we're done. All right, so I'm going to give this a shot, and we're going to give it a nice taste. You can see it nice and fluffy. Broth has a good flavor. The matzo balls have a great flavor, a good texture. I mean, all around, this is like the most comforting soup you can make. And according to my Jewish friends, it's like penicillin. You feel a little under the weather, eat a nice bowl of this, and you're going to feel better. Anyway, oh wow, that is good. I need a moment. Just one moment. Okay. Again, I want to thank you guys for coming to Wayward Gourmands. My assistant, we ran a little bit late again. We got to watch our time management. He couldn't finish the video with me, but he assured me he wasn't going to try it anyway. He's not a big fan of soups and stuff like that. So all the ingredients are going to be in the description below. If you liked our video, please hit like and subscribe. And also make sure you hit that little alert button. I mean, there's a subscribe button right at the bottom of the screen. It's right there. You can see it. This way, when you hit the alert button, you'll get all the alerts of when we post new videos, which we're trying to do more often. As you saw with the Keith and the Giant Cookie video, Keith's going to be doing some solo stuff too, with more kid-friendly recipes, so the kids can, the kids like watching other kids on YouTube, so, maybe they'll get an interest in cooking. Because I know there was no YouTube when I was a kid, but I watched my mother and my grandmother cook. Not too close to the pot because they were really quick with a wooden spoon, but I'll tell you, the best thing I ever did was learn to cook when I was a kid. So I really encourage it. I really, really, really encourage you to try this. It's absolutely delicious. I'm feeling better already, just having one spoonful. Thank you again for coming back to the Wayward Gourmands. See you next time.